Hello, my name is Josh Bautista, and this is going to be my final presentation for my paper for Computer Science 311, and it is titled Musicians and the Digital Age. Basically, it's about the struggles of the musicians as the technology and music um, advance over the years. I'll be talking about problems that musicians face, such as like copyrights, also piracy, things of that nature. And we're going to be asking the question, is it viable to be a musician in the digital age? Is it something that can one make a career out of? But at the end of the paper, that's what we're going to try to answer. So to begin, we'll touch on the music aspect of it. Music, I think, is the only universal language, and it connects the world. It actually transcends language, politics, cultures, borders, any sort of barrier that would divide us. um, Overall, it's very important to our culture, actually. And with the advent of technology and the digital age, music has just been ingrained in our culture and our society. Actually, this is even prior to the technology advancing. Music has been pervasive. It's always in the forefront of the things that we do. So it's a very important part of our culture. Just as important as music, as musicians. Without musicians, of course, there would be no music. So, these are the guys that, that give us these work of arts. People like, Johann Sebastian Bach, Beethoven, and then the jazz era with Louis Armstrong, rock, all kinds of evolution with music. And, not only that, it's essential, and I feel very, very strongly about this, that, musicians should be protected, because, again, without musicians, there's no music. And I really feel strongly about that. Well, we need to protect musicians and their intellectual property, because, their creation, just like any forms of art, literature, paintings, drawings, sketches, things like that, they need to be protected because they pour their heart and souls into these things, and if somebody just, from off the street willy-nilly can, you know, play the same tune, same chords, you know, maybe change a couple of the words, it wouldn't be fair to the musician because it's their masterpiece and it should be them that should be able to do whatever, they please with it. And today, this just goes straight into the recording process, and what is it? Because before it's just sheet music, um, and this is where we go into the pretty much the evolution of recording devices. So it started with like the phonograph, um, and yeah, sheet music before that, and then cassettes, as you can see, all the way up to CDs, and then now MP3s. So the more technology advances, basically, the easier it is for people to just um, to own music, basically, to to purchase music and make it their own. And this business is cutthroat as it is, just by itself, with the record companies taking most everything the musician makes, up to the public not liking you, or things of that nature. And then you add to the fact that people can steal things from you, steal your ideas, your music, things like that. So yeah, we need some better legislation to protect musicians. And thankfully, in our age, we do have some good protection. But one of the biggest issues that musicians have and have had is piracy. And this is when people steal music. Like I said again, sheet music, to vinyls being illegally pressed, so that they don't have to pay the musicians. Of course, we have to compensate musicians. This is their heart and soul into media, and it's for you to listen to. So with advancement of technology, and especially in the digital age, piracy has never been easier. And it all started with Napster. It's called the peer-to-peer sharing platform, where you could just log in, create your free account, and you're good to go. Basically, you share your music to the world, and the world shares their music with you. And so, you could get music for free. And what about the musician? Of course, musicians get screwed in this process. But by how much? Well, as it turns out, not really that much, because musicians, in the grand scheme of things, get very little from sales of CDs, things like that. So the people that are really affected by this are the record labels, because literally the artists just get pennies to the dollar when it comes to you know getting their cut from sales of CDs and cassettes, vinyls, things of that nature. So they're the ones that has really a lot to be mad about. Other ways the musicians are getting the same piece of the pie. Well, a good friend of technology has always been innovation. They go hand in hand together. In the midst of the piracy crisis, digital piracy crisis, arose the streaming services. These are the guys that we know now as Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, etc. And they're supposed to deter pirates because of their convenience, ease of use, that type of nature. For example, if you feel like working out, you could just type in a mood, and the algorithms will figure out upbeat songs that you can work out to, or mellow songs so you can relax. And number two is that they're cheap. These guys usually charge on average around $5 to $10. Some more, some less. It just depends on what you're really looking for. And so, going back to our main subject, the musicians, how does streaming services help them? Well, it definitely gives them more outlets to post their music, and yeah, they pay. Of course, they pay, but again, this is the same thing as the recording companies, but because the streaming services, these guys, they don't pay that much. They also pay pennies to the dollar. So I mean, at this point, you're screaming at your screen saying, "Well, it's bleak for your musicians, so it must not be um, viable, to be a musician in this day and age." Well, hold on, because what can musicians do? And this has always been in the wheelhouse of a musician. This is still to this day the meat and potatoes of being a musician. Being stuck in a van with seven other sweaty guys slugging your equipment around, going to bar after bar, playing your shows, getting in touch with people. According to some studies, this is actually where most of the musicians make their money, about 30%, if you include selling your merchandise on site, because the record companies, they can't usually touch this side. I mean, some do, depends on the contract, of course, but this is guaranteed where the musicians get most of their money from. It's, through hard work and being on the road all the time. Ticket sales, t-shirt sales, things of that nature. Nowadays, what's really important for a musician is to be out there. And this is what social media outlets do for them. Exposure. If you have a YouTube channel, you could, video blog the whereabouts of your, band, what you're doing, exposing some of your music out there. So yeah, you definitely have the tools to be out there and be known. Okay, so this plus the touring, there's a possibility. So to answer the question that we asked in the beginning of this video, is it viable to have a musical career in the digital age? Well, as it turns out, it's the same answer for when it was the beginning of music until now. Turns out the digital age has nothing to do with it. We just evolve and adapt. Because if you really want something, you're going to work hard. And if you're willing to be stuck in a van with seven sweaty guys, uh, be on the road constantly eating terrible food, diner food, then, music and the music industry might be for you. Otherwise, just go ahead and keep your day job because it's gonna be a terrible ride for you. Turns out piracy doesn't really have much to do, you know, if you're basing it on the old recording company contracts where the record companies, the record labels get a huge chunk of the sales from your music. And at the end of the day, they keep the rights to your music. So those are non factors. The conclusion, if you want to do it, you have to work hard, just like anything else in life, apparently. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.